When is the last time you listened to a podcast about web development, web design, and small business and didn't fall asleep? Yes, we cover web development, web design, and small business, but like actual human beings with personalities. If you're a beginner, we're not going to talk over your head. It's more like asking your buddy for help. We have guests, we have fun, and let me tell you, these two can get off on a tangent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to HTML All the Things Podcast. This is Matt Lawrence and Mike Curran.
That's right, everybody. We are back. This is the HTML All the Things Podcast. This episode is titled Taking on Too Much Responsibility as a Web Developer. So in this episode, we are going to be talking about something that's a bit of like a personal issue for me, where I kind of get like scared. I'm like, man, like there's databases involved, there's servers involved, there's, all kinds of stuff involved. Am I going to be able to take this on? And what could actually help you take this on is actually CodeRabbit. CodeRabbit helps supercharge your team to ship faster with the most advanced AI code reviews. We are powered by CodeRabbit, if you don't know already. 14-day free trial, no credit card needed, 2-click sign up with a GitHub or GitLab account. Go and check it out today, coderabbit.ai. But anyway, yeah, so that's going to be the episode. It's going to be talking about like, hey man, like I don't want to be, bogged down. I don't have a support team. I'm taking on too many clients. That's going to be another thing we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be talking about individual projects that are too large, but we're also going to be talking about, hey, I'm an agency, running an agency, or I'm a freelancer. Do I have too many clients? Things of that nature. So if this sounds interesting to you and you want to support the show, you can go and check us out on that Patreon, leave a review or rating on your podcast app. Join us in our Discord server or share this with your friends. And remember that we have a up to 20% off discount if you want to learn how to code. But you can do full stack now, full stack, front end, a little bit of CSS, whatever it is, using their interactive media player code editor. Again, up to 20% off Scrimba. That's scrimba.com/links/HTML, all the things. Go and check that out. Full details will be in the show notes for this episode on HTMLallthethings.com. So let's just kick this thing off, right? So, I'm going to list out my personal problem with this stuff if I haven't already talked about it enough. So, I'm always the person that sees like the absolute worst that could happen. I'm always worried about, oh my God, if this database goes down, we're screwed. If we don't have 3 backups of this, we're done. And it makes me worried to actually work on anything too big or too complex. This is a bit of an issue because big and or complex jobs actually pay the most generally, because of course people are going to be like, hey, that's a really hard job, we'll pay you, more. So this is a bit of a problem because my clients will be asking me for complex things, and because I'm worried about the complexity, and because we're just a small agency, it's just Mike and I spend a fair bit of my time trying to like talk my clients down in complexity, because I'm like, hey, like this could go wrong, that could go wrong, this might be a mess, that might be a mess. And I think that I'm a little overzealous in this regard. Now, I know that, being cautious can be a good thing, where it's like, I don't want to take on, like TD Bank, which is a huge bank here in Canada. I'm not going to take on like a project from TD Bank for like their new web app. It's like, that's going to be too crazy just for, 2 people for sure. But I think I'm overzealous in being cautious. There's a limit to what we can put out, but I feel like I'm being too easy on myself, if that makes sense. And so this is where this episode really truthfully comes from, is because, I'm always like this, and I think it might be because of my IT background, where it's like IT is always like on the lookout for like what could break and what to monitor and how to fix it and who you would need to fix certain issues, and it's a huge, huge issue.
I'm a little bit on the opposite end of this, maybe. So you and I balance each other out pretty well in that regard. But like, I do sometimes creep into the overzealous and think too much and think about the worst thing that can happen, especially when I'm already being stretched thin. So a lot of times, if I have nothing going on, someone offers me a project, I don't really think, and maybe to the detriment of my own sanity, I don't really think about the complexity too much. But as soon as that project builds and then another project is offered, or like that project gets too complex, I start thinking about what's next, and that sometimes freaks me out. and sometimes makes me like pull back a little bit or do like, try to adjust my expectations or especially adjust the client's expectations. I notice myself under promising and over delivering a lot when these kinds of situations happen because I'll be like, hey, there's a lot that could go wrong here, A, B, and C. I'm going to try to get it done to this point, but there could be these things that go wrong. And a lot of times they won't go wrong and it'll be fine. But when they do go wrong, you have that little bit of buffer. So I find myself like adjusting to the situation a lot, but it's really dependent on what my current load is. Like, do I have too much going?
Well, the thing with websites too is that they're kind of for life. Now, obviously, that's with a huge asterisk. People redo their websites, businesses close, personal websites go down, and people don't care about them anymore, type of thing. But websites, in terms of the actual product that you're delivering, are really like a 24/7 business, right? Because they're on all the time. E-commerce stores, with very, very limited exceptions, are on all the time. Christmas Day, any holiday you can think of, all night, 4 in the morning, 2 a.m., 1 a.m., whatever it is, they're always on. And so like that's part of my issue where it's interesting that you're like, oh, this project is getting too complex. I'll move, like I'll see what to do next. I'm always like, man, we still got to support this one in the back here. Like what happens if like something goes like terribly awry? And what's crazy about it too is I've been like overzealously cautious, if that's a way to say that, on projects in the past, and then we've left the project or like they've not fired us, but it's just like, okay, like you've done your job, you can leave, and I'll kind of warn them, be like, hey, like some maintenance is, should be done and this and that, and they just won't do maintenance for like 6 years and it's fine. Now, of course, there's, there comes the day eventually where that catches up with them. But the fact of the matter is, like, I was worried about doing maintenance like every month or every week or whatever the case was. And that just wasn't really required, which is not great. I don't know. Like, for me personally, it's an issue of like, I don't know whether it's like me trying to like come out of my shell, as it were, from a technical perspective. Is this something where I need to like be more confident, or am I actually not being overzealously cautious? Am I actually doing I'm just like a persona type, like people have different personas. It's like, am I just like the person that you would want on a project that you really want to keep up and running?
Yeah, I think it could be a mix of both, honestly, but there's room for being super cautious and there's room for, stepping a little bit outside that realm. And like you said, I think different projects require different approaches. A project that, needs to handle large amounts of money, for example, probably needs to lean on the more cautious kind of mindset. Whereas a project that just needs to, process some data and output some information for a user, those can be a little bit more loosey goosey or overzealous, or like, you can risk a little bit more in those cases. And therefore, like, I do think the challenge is, if you're of one type of personality, to understand where that line is and to like go, in certain situations where you need to be overzealous, to go outside your comfort zone. I think those are the challenges that we all face. And it's the other way around for people that are always going outside their comfort zone or always going a little bit crazy on the projects, to like bring it back when something is a little bit more critical. Like I work a lot with Web3 clients in the crypto industry, and a lot of times in those situations, they need to be on the very opposite end, where like they need to be super, super cautious because you can deal with millions of dollars. And if you write one little piece of code that's wrong, it can be drained in a matter of seconds. Right. So like that's a situation where absolutely you need to be extremely cautious, and you need to go all the different avenues that could possibly go wrong, and account for those different avenues and have backup plans and do your audits of your code and stuff like that. And I think they need more people like you, Matt. Like I think that this industry actually needs a significant amount more of the people that are like, hold up, wait, did you think about this? Or did you think about this? Did you think about this? That's what
Right.
the industry needs. A lot of times they try to rush to, get the product out because they maybe have a limited amount of money and a limited amount of time, or they just want to get rich quick. Those situations happen. And what ends up happening, someone gets hacked, the code gets hacked, whatever, and they're drained, and now they're screwed. And not only are they screwed, the entire team is screwed. Like I just talked to a person recently where he built up an entire development team for one of these Web3 protocols, and recently they found out that one of their someone in leadership got hacked. Most of the money got, or like the protocol got somewhat drained or somewhat compromised in some way. I don't know exactly the details, and that puts in jeopardy the entire development team that was working for him, because now this, like, whatever the token was has gone to almost zero, and therefore they don't have enough money to pay them. So there's a lot of consequences when stakes are high, but when stakes are low, there's very little consequences, and those are the times when you need to adjust your ability to like take those risks, in my opinion. When the stakes are low,
Right.
take bigger risks. When the stakes are high, take way less risk.
Well, if we pull that thread about stakes are low and we talk about, I usually deal with the small to medium business clients. I've said it a million times on the show. And it's like a lot of the time, what they have is not even e-commerce. A lot of the time they want a fairly large site, but it's to get people to call them, get people to email them, things like that. And if that site goes down, it's not the absolute end of the world. But for some reason, because again, websites are like that 24/7, 365 business, I get like super worried about it. And if I think about it though, if I think about this in like I mean, it's hot out right now. So I guess in the context of like an air conditioner, yeah, like we have an air conditioner guy that comes and services and fixes our air conditioner. And an air conditioner is a 24/7, 365 device that does break down sometimes. And I think that place does have an on-call thing, but they'll tell me, yep, we got your call, be there tomorrow, be there in a couple days, whatever it is. But for some reason, I'm not comfortable doing that in tech. But I feel like sometimes clients have done that, where it's like, whether not even necessarily clients, like even when I was working in IT, I'll call the people clients. We used to call them just like users, right? Like people who are not an IT team that we're servicing. It's sort of like, for some reason, when it comes to tech, people want it done instantly. It's like, oh my God, we need this now. Like, what are you doing? Whatever. But I feel like that might be the case for everything, including air conditioning. And they're just comfortable saying, like, I'll be there in a couple of days. I'm not comfortable doing that. I'll be like, well, I guess I'm staying up all night now, doing this right away. And I should probably not do that.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to just being able to handle clients in a way that leaves them somewhat satisfied and leaves yourself in a position where you can execute correctly. I watched like a TikTok short or a Instagram reel or something like that recently, where they're like, there's two ways to handle a situation where, like, an airline ticket, you're trying to purchase an airline ticket for a flight that day, and there's no seats available, right? Like, when you go up to the counter, you try to purchase that ticket, and the person talking to you can be like, no, there's no seats available, sorry about that, we can't do anything for you. That's one way of handling it, and that'll leave the customer a little bit agitated and angry, even though, like, the situation is like, there's nothing you can do, there's no seats available, right? Like, there's nothing really you can do. But yeah, what do you do?
What do
But
you
on
do?
the other
Yeah.
hand, if you go up to the counter or you give them a call or whatever, and you have the same exact situation where there's nothing they can do, but the customer service representative goes, oh shit, oh, I understand what you're going through, let me check, and just goes and, like, even pretends to check. Like, I mean, this sounds kind of weird, but even pretends to check, but maybe does check. Like, maybe, you go through and you're like, oh, see if there's another flight or something like that, then you could put them on, does something extra, and then being like, oh, you know what, there isn't there any, and then maybe goes another step, being like, okay, you know what, let me talk to my manager, maybe they know something that I don't know. And then, spends a little bit of time talking to the manager, whatever, and comes back with the same exact result because the situation is the same. The relationship with that client, the feeling that the client has a lot of times is going to be more positive in that situation, even though they didn't get what they wanted. And so it's the same thing with this scenario that you're talking about, where, like, if there's something you can't do in a matter of hours because of reason A, B, and C, right? Regardless of what those reasons are, if you present it to them in a way that is, again, more towards their point of view and understanding of their issue, like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, like, I understand you want this done as quickly as possible, I totally get it, like, that's the kind of language. And then, like, the reason that I can't do it right now, and I'm going to try to do it, but the reason I can't do it right now is really X, Y, and Z, right? Like A, B, and C or whatever. And what I'm
Right.
going to do is I'm going to take a look at see if there's any other thing that I can do to make this faster, and I'll get back to you on that. But I'm really going to guarantee you that it's going to be done this time. Right. So again, it's giving yourself that, like, little bit of buffer, giving the client a little bit more respect, quote unquote, and being like, understanding that they want something quickly, and that's fine. Like, it's fine for a client to want stuff done the next hour. Like, it's an okay feeling to have. The air conditioner thing that you just brought up rings home because I literally had my air conditioner die over the weekend in a heat wave. And yeah, I want them to fix it in the next 10 minutes. But the reality is they can't. Like, they can't. Yeah, they gotta drive here. Like, there's just so many things that need to happen. But I need it fixed in the next 10 minutes. But if they come back to me and they're like, "Hey, listen, we have a rep out already to you. Like, I've already set them out, et cetera, and this is going to be fixed in the next few hours. We'll check. We'll verify in the next few hours, and then it'll be fixed in the next week or so." It's a different relationship. Again, it's just like being able to set those expectations with the client in a more friendly way and take pressure off of yourself by doing that. I think that's really where this helps, like especially what you're talking about.
Right. No, it makes a lot of sense because like the thing with me is like it'll just derail my whole day. I'm like, oh my God, this person's site's down, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Even if I haven't talked to them in like several years or several months. And like they didn't think about me, I didn't think about them, and then all of a sudden they think about me because something's gone wrong. And I'm just, worried the whole day if I'm busy, like I usually say if I'm busy with like both hands, like I'm out at a movie or I'm out golfing or I'm driving somewhere, it's like it's not like I can just like stop everything, run over to a Wi-Fi hotspot and like use my Wi-Fi, use my laptop. It's like I'm busy today. I'm out and about. I'm driving everybody today. I'm the carpool driver, whatever it is. It's like that'll derail my whole day. And it's like I feel like that's something I need to work on because it's like I can't just be everywhere. And especially if they haven't paid for that, which is on call is a service that we don't offer for the obvious reason that there's only two of us. But like, yeah, like I think you're right. Like maybe enhancing the customer experience rather than me panicking and being like, oh my God, okay, like I'll get to it again, and then like worrying the entire time, and then I just get back and it's like, oh, like the host was down or something stupid, right? It's like, it's just like things happen and you just have to deal with it. And I think like that's going to be a better way to handle it. And like, I guess mentally I need to learn to be a little more shielded. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. A little stronger mentally, maybe, where I'm just like, yeah, I'm busy right now, but I'll get to you like in a bit, obviously in a more respectful way than that. I'm not just gonna be like, yo, I'm busy on the phone with them. So I think like we can like switch gears a little bit just to like, I wanted to cover like when a single project is too much and like how to handle it, some common traps, things like that. And then I wanted to transition after that to talk about multiple projects / agency burnout. So we'll kind of focus again on that single project right now, which is, a single project doesn't sound like much, but that is of course entirely dependent on how large and complex it is. So if you're freelancing as an individual, a single project can easily overwhelm your capabilities as just one person. So if you have, other clients, obviously your work for those other clients and the client that you're currently working for that brought in this really huge project may suffer greatly because you're just putting all your time, all your skills, all your everything into this one specific project. And depending on how big this project is and how dedicated you are, your work-life balance may also take a serious hit. The other thing to look at here is entrepreneurial, which is that sometimes, and this is very dependent on the business dealings that's going on, but single projects sometimes do not pay as much as you can get across multiple projects. It really depends, of course, on your clientele, the projects you're doing, how your currency, everything, right? Like this is like an economic question, an entrepreneurial question, but sometimes it just will make more sense for you to say, you know what, I'll take on 4 clients that are like 10 minutes each and I'll make $800 rather than this one large, stress inducing, bureaucratic, slow moving $800 project that's going to take, full-time hours or something like that. And so again, like you have to kind of weigh those options. And I listed out here a few of the warning signs of a project that might be too big. And these are just warning signs. These are like kind of like rule of thumb, but they're not, guaranteed to be, a red flag. So the first one is needing to hire a team, but having no hiring / management experience. Meaning if a project is super large and you're like, I would need to hire a team, but I also don't know how to do that. It's like, are you really going to learn everything you need to know for the project, then also learn how to hire and then hire? Bit of a red flag, but I mean, if it's a huge project, maybe it isn't, right? You can kind of turn any negative into a positive potentially, depending on the situation that you're in. But in general, this is going to be a negative because, I mean, learning all those skills, and then also you haven't managed people, it sounds like, if you don't have these skills. So now you're also managing people, but then you're also managing the client. Sounds like this thing might be a little out of your scope. Tech stack or business logic being way outside of your expertise. They may be asking for something like a desktop app for Windows that you've never built before. They don't want any sort of like Electron or any sort of like web app or PWA. They specifically want you to write like a native Windows app. Maybe that's, that's out of your depth. Maybe that's out of your wheelhouse for the time being. And the same goes for business logic as well, where they might be like, oh, we need to onboard you just like a staffer. We need to get you all this stuff, even though you're just a contractor working on like one small thing. And you're like, hey, you can't be bogging me down with like a pager and a phone and, specific, calls all the time because I work for, 8 other people or whatever. I'm freelancing. So that business logic may not be compatible with your business model. The third thing here, second last, not a big list, project scope creeping into full-scale platform territory. So we've definitely seen this. I've definitely seen this with clients where they will ask you for something pretty small. So they'll ask you for like a marketing website, a business card website or something. And then they'll just be like, well, we also need GPS. We need this. We need that. And actually an example is, I don't know if you remember this, Mike, we were contacted to make this website that was, I'm going to anonymize details, but we were contacted to make this website that was just supposed to be like really flashy. Lots of images, lots of videos. There was going to be an event that happened a few times a year, and they were going to take lots and lots of media, and the website was really going to showcase that. And it was going to be all about it. But then the guy randomly threw in that they needed like an extremely complex GPS system. I don't know if you remember this, where they were like, well, we can't have, the people that are involved in the event turn left at all on busy roads. So we need them only to turn right. So we need, and I was like, whoa, hang on. This project is not the marketing site. This project is building a GPS thing that detects if a road is busy and then will try to mitigate left turns. That's actually the project. And the guy ended up, obviously I was more PR'd than that with him. And the guy ended up going elsewhere. And if you check out the website today that we didn't build, it's like unbelievably simple. It's a couple of images thrown up there. It's using a super, super old CMS, super old image, like light boxes and things like that. I don't even know if they, maintain it other than obviously the content. Like just super, super simple that I could like spin up today in the duration of this podcast. And it's like, man, like that is an example of like someone like creeping that scale up. But it's also a bit of a story in like, hey, that was a red flag, but maybe I should have been like, hey, we should do that later, so that we would have got the marketing thing. So we would have got the marketing site, and then he probably would have forgotten about this weird right turn thing because he doesn't have that, because he wanted it on the website and it's not on his website. So clearly someone was like, no, that's a huge thing. Because like, that's crazy. Like, man, I don't know. I had that conversation with him and I was like, after the meeting, I was flabbergasted. I was like, that marketing site means nothing. It's all about this GPS app. Like, this is a huge GPS app.
I remember that. I remember that situation. I think the reality is that it probably didn't matter so much, that GPS side of things. He just thought it was a cool idea, not realizing the scope of it. And our job at that point would have probably been to be like, oh, this marketing stuff, totally doable. This GPS stuff, this is what it would take. It would take a quant. It would take, a new way to do, the traveling salesman problem, which is impossible. Like we could win $1 million if we do this. Like explaining to the person that, hey, we can't build this GPS system without solving physics first, right? Like without solving some sort of crazy math problem. And that would have probably been like, oh yeah. I don't actually need that. That was just something I thought of at the end of the day. So I think it was more of like a setting expectations conversation, and especially when I'm doing the product side of things. So I'm lucky enough right now in my team where I'm, doing just the engineering, and there's a product manager that manages what you're talking about, Matt, like where that manages those expectations of ridiculous features that can't be built out. But when you have a product that you're dealing with and you have a owner of the product or customers of that product that want things, Your job is to figure out what's doable in a reasonable amount of time and what's not, and to filter out what's not. And to really be like not focusing on what's not. And I think that's part of what we're talking about here in like, how do you take on too much? The idea of how to take on too much is to make it so that it's not too much, right? Like you can take on any project almost that's out there by just making sure that the expectations come down to earth with conversations like this that you would have, being like, hey, that Windows example, like, hey, we can build it as a Windows application, but why don't we take the step first to actually just package it as a regular Cordova app or Electron app, right? Like let's do Electron app. If it succeeds, because it's much cheaper. If it succeeds, let's then build the Windows application. Like just always bringing the client down. Now, 100% of the time, it's not going to work all the time, right? Like you're going to get clients that push back and want things done exactly the way that they talk about. And those are the situations where you have to gracefully step out and allow someone else to take that bullet. Because a lot of times when a client is that stubborn, it's going to lead to a lot more friction down the line. Like if a client's not willing to listen to the expertise that you're trying to provide during the quoting period, trying to save them money essentially and give them the ramp up that they need to make a successful product. The reality is that when you get into the nitty gritty of the actual product, something's going to go wrong. You're not going to get the right requirement and they're going to have the same or worse reaction. So like it's a really good metric for me, especially to get all this stuff out in the first place and to see if you can set expectations with the client, right? Like if you're able to bring them down, that's a good step to a good relationship moving forward.
That's a good call because like, we are talking about, warning signs or red flags.
Yeah.
And it's like, if the project scope is creeping and it can't be negotiated down,
absolutely,
then it's a red flag. But if you can, which you like probably should, like you should try to mitigate the majority of these red flags, like changing tech stacks or like you said, changing the scale and see what the person says. And then if it's like, nope, project scope is like, that's what I want. I want you to solve the traveling salesman thing. Like you said, it's like, well, all right.
GG.
I mean,
yep.
Call someone else.
We're done here.
Yep. We're done here.
Yeah.
Everyone's done.
Literally every physicist, mathematician on the planet is done here.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, man, that's not deliverable for a $250 website budget. And another one, this is the last one, and this one's just like a personal thing. If you're super anxious or avoiding the work entirely, you're like burnt out, maybe you need to check in. Like if you're a freelancer, it's really easy. And this is like a classic thing. It's really easy to get overwhelmed, but it's also really easy to get work at the worst time. That's going to sound weird, but it's like if you're firing on all cylinders and you just like signed a couple more deals and you just took on some more projects, as you're like, in this, like the midst of the chaos of like building out different things or fixing different things or whatever it is that you do, it's really common that for whatever reason, someone else comes and knocking all the time. People keep knocking on the door. So if you're like, hey, you know what? I can't take on more clients right now. Like sometimes you need to like listen to that like signal from your head where it's going to be like, hey man, like I'm already not sleeping. Probably like I'm getting super anxious or just like super worried or burnt out from what I'm doing right now. Probably should not add more to my plate. And then you probably at that point, it's again, very personal thing, but you're probably at that point safe to say like, okay, I either need to scale up my business, which I could do in the future, or I need to turn this person around or turn this person to someone else and then consider scaling my business because I'm starting to get too much. But you just can't take on everything. It's just there's too many like, hey, this is a great opportunity. Like, you really need to do this. And you get there and it's like, oh, I mean, it's not that good. Like Mike and I have been sold on so many quote unquote amazing projects where there's guaranteed results, but they just need someone to believe in them. And then we believe in them and they don't believe in paying my wallet.
That's a whole other conversation though. Like the idea of like the opportunity being big is so flaky because a lot of times as soon as you hear that, that means they aren't willing to pay you or not willing to pay you enough like for the market, right? That's an immediate red flag. Now it's not a guarantee. Maybe they're just talking like they're just hyping up their own project and they're willing to pay you. Sure. Like could be possible. Don't immediately like, click off the phone or jump off the call when you hear that, but immediately start to pay attention to the details of what they're saying. Because when it's a big opportunity, they're trying to sell you on it to get you to do it either for free or for a very, very low cost for the potential opportunity of making a few bucks.
Or being a part of
Yeah.
the experience. Wouldn't you want to be a part of this great local effort or this great local thing or this great tech innovation or, you know, whatever buzzword you could
I
add?
think I think I'm more susceptible to falling for stuff like that, but even then, like I'm still pretty hesitant because I'm always looking for a potentially big opportunity. Like, you know what I mean? Like I do look for
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
that could actually hit, and knowing the risks that could be taken, right? Like obviously nothing is a guarantee, but if there is a big opportunity, I'm not just going to say no right away, even though it's like it could be a free thing that I'm doing. But imagine if it's a big opportunity and they had like a celebrity endorsement already planned and they had X amount of clients that they've already guaranteed. Like there could be a situation where you can say yes, is what I'm leading to here. But you really, really, really need to be careful, and you need to vet the opportunity, and you need to understand the risk you're taking. Because even with everything lined up and seemingly perfect, I've seen many situations in those certain circumstances go belly up. Right. And you're going to be working
Mhm.
for free for X amount of time, and you're still going to make nothing at the end of the day. So even in an almost guaranteed quote unquote situation with a big opportunity, you still have a chance to make nothing and lose a bunch of time and money. So you need to, if you're in that like space of gambling, and essentially that's what you're doing in that sense, like instead of gambling with money, you're gambling with your own time. Totally the same thing. Time is money. You need to understand what you're doing. You're gambling with your money, with your time, and maybe you'll hit it big if everything lines up, and maybe you'll lose a bunch of time and money.
I mean, unless you really believe in the cause. Like if
Sure.
it's a charity that you really like and you already donate to and stuff like that. But then again, you're not really losing
You're
your time at
donating
that
it.
point.
Yeah.
You're like investing it, really. It's like you're donating it at that point. So it's a bit different. But I mean, this is almost like a classic entrepreneurial tale where it's like, you know, the old vindictive like business dude is, you know, oh, like there's a big opportunity. Like, is it? Like I've kind of become that where people are like, this app's gonna like revolutionize, or this website's, because I have such a good content idea or content plan, this website's going to take off. I was like, how many great content plans have there been that haven't, like, I won't say this, you know, to people's faces, but it's like, how many great content plans have there been that haven't taken off at all?
Most.
Like correct. It's like it's not guaranteed. Like I think people just think, oh, because there's these platforms out there, YouTube, whatever, right? YouTube, Instagram for pictures and reels and videos and blah blah blah, and all these other platforms out there. They're like, oh, like I see that a very popular account is just posting like golf swing tutorials. If I just do that, I'll like instantly. It's like no, somehow filter by golf swing tutorial and see all the people that haven't made it. That's what we miss all the time. Now, I mean, this is another story for another day. It's gonna, like, you know, it's a little off topic there, but it happens. Like, I mean, like it is like avoiding, like maybe big opportunity should be a red flag.
Absolutely.
Like we were just talking about red flags. Maybe saying like if someone says there's a big opportunity, it's like hell, maybe hold up.
Yep.
Let's see if it's a big opportunity. So we talked about, you know, the solo project. I have more stuff in the show notes if you want to go check that out on htmlallthethings.com. I'm not going to go through absolutely everything that I've written here. I wrote actually quite a bit of stuff here, but I want to change gears now to the people that are listening that specifically want to talk about multiple projects or agency stuff or agency burnout, agency issues, like basically taking on too much responsibility and like you're taking on too much work for the scale of your business, for the scale of your agency. And the thing is like, you know, if you've mastered the art, which no one really has, but if you've mastered or close to mastered or are good at, maybe I should say, taking on individual projects that are, let's say, appropriately sized for your unique situation, what about when that project, solo, singular, becomes projects, plural? Scaling an agency or a list of clientele, if you're an individual freelancer, can be an absolute nightmare. Just think about what would happen if 2 or 3 of your clients suddenly started having issues that need to be dealt with right away. You need to kind of ask yourself, are you equipped to deal with that? And we all know somebody whose work notifications never stop going off 24/7. Now, for someone who loves their job, maybe they like to work fast. That might be great, but what happens when they can't work fast? Like maybe they're sick that week. What happens when they inevitably start to run on empty? Maybe they're tired, they're experiencing some fatigue. Maybe there's some burnout in there too. Maybe it gets really bad and they're completely burnt out eventually. And I mean, Mike, I'm sure you've like known people, like you've definitely told me about some people. I definitely know people where like they have their phone dinger on because they have to, the ringer on, and it's constantly ringing. You constantly hear the text messages going off and this and that and this and that. And it's just like a constant reminder of like, hey, like answer me, take a look. There's work coming in. There's stuff to do. There's stuff this, and it starts to get too much. Now, obviously, being busy is great. You might be like, Matt, don't be lazy. You're running an agency. Being busy is good. Like, feel happy that you have a lot of clients. Fantastic. However, there is a limit to everything. You can take on way too much. Like I said, it's Mike and I. If TD Canada Trust Bank approaches us and says, please make our new like account handler. No, I'm not even gonna. I'll answer the phone call and be like, thank you for the big opportunity, but no.
And that would be an actual big opportunity.
Obviously, I'd say it nicer than that. That would be a huge opportunity, but the problem is it'd be like, okay, now we have to like get a facility or something. We have to have a support team because it's like we can't just be like, I'll get to your stupid banking clients tomorrow. Click. Obviously, I'm just being like joking around now, but it's like, could you imagine just like having that go down for a couple days? Like, you can't access your money. Like, who cares? I'm watching a movie the next couple of days. I'm the carpool driver. See, they're not going to care about stuff like that, right? Like it's at a different scale. And so like this is why I want to do this episode, is because like there's a reason why you should watch out for like big problems like this, right? If you like kind of take a look at the responsibilities that stack up across multiple clients, you might be handling different tech stacks, different goals of the client themselves, different communication styles, different communication apps. Everyone has like 14,724 messaging apps on their phones, which I absolutely love and don't resent the days of just having BBM. Ongoing retainers with people, mixed with like just like quotes, like individual quotes, individual like builds. You're context switching all the time. You're changing what you're doing. You're dealing with different people, different personas. We already mentioned communication styles. These responsibilities really start to stack up. And if you think about it, if you're the only one that's answering emails, deploying updates, and writing code, burnout is likely to kind of set itself in. Like you're going to be like, holy crap, like I'm running around. I'm that person now, right? Where my phone is going off 24/7. Like I just can't shut it off. And again, it's that thing again where I've said like, you can't be busy with two hands. It's like, you're constantly like, well, I can't go on vacation here because I don't have good internet. I can't go on vacation there because I would be busy boating and I can't do that. So I can't go. Okay. So I'll just stay home. Like it starts to really mess you up if you don't have the proper scaling in your business. And yes, I understand there's some people that, will work really, really hard and do things. And I'm not trying to talk down to those people, but I'm saying that if you're trying to, make a living and you're trying to avoid, burning out or getting into trouble like this, just watch yourself. Make sure you're like, hey, like, let's not take on too much here. Like maybe if you take on a client where you're like, this is too much, but we were going to hire 3 people next week anyway. It's like, okay, a couple weeks, while they onboard or whatever, a couple weeks where it's a little hectic, you could take. But don't be like, well, it'll be hectic until hopefully one day it's all right. It's like, I don't know if that's really the plan here.
Yeah.
At least not for me.
I think this is going to be very different for everyone. This is the difference between like a lifestyle business and a grinding business. And like, there's just different ways to approach this kind of situation. And the reality is, if you're trying to start your business, like if you're in the first months or weeks or year of your business, you might have to make these sacrifices regardless of what kind of business you want in the end, because you need to grind it out. Like that's just the reality of it. Like you can't say no to too much. Need those initial clients to then start referring you to their other friends and start to build your portfolio of clients to then have the ability to start transitioning to more of a lifestyle business, right? To be able to say no,
Right.
to be able to set limits, to be able to set boundaries, you need to initially invest the time into establishing yourself as someone that can do that. So it depends on where you're at. I do think that there's a lot of toxicity out there in the sense of like, you can't ever establish yourself as a lifestyle business if you want to succeed. There's a lot of messaging out there right now that like, especially with the turn of the economy, especially with how employers are dealing with their employees, everyone is trying to get as much out of each person as possible. And if they can't, they're just cutting them. And that's the messaging that we're receiving from, not from clients per se, but from the internet. Let's just say that, like from social media, from the current layoff situation. Like, every company is no longer afraid of doing layoffs. Every company is no longer like, not to say that they were afraid before, but they're not afraid to like publicly do it without fear for repercussions. Before, they would like slide them into different spots and they would be like, sorry about this, like we're doing this because we need this X and Y. Now they're like, we're doing 10,000 people laid off, we're saving money. There's no like, there's no sympathy really. Like, there's some sympathetic messaging, but there's really no sympathy, and they're doing them on a consistent, hard basis. And that's the current employment client we're in. So again, what I'm trying to kind of come down to is, there is a way to establish boundaries, the ones that matter talking about. What you might need to do is establish yourself first, though, and you might have to go away from those boundaries. That like, you might not be able to go on vacation as much. You might not be able to go to the movies if you initially, when you're starting to set up the business, especially if you're solo. Like, Matt and I had the advantage of having two people, so we could kind of take some time off here, take some time off there. We cover for each other. But the reality is, a lot of people are trying to do this solo, so you might need to grind it out for a little while until you can hire someone else, until you can have enough notoriety to say no to clients, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, it's a good thing to bring up because I actually have a follow-up question that I wanted to like drive discussion. So I think I'll just bring that up now because it's kind of the perfect time. Because like, the stuff I'm saying sounds like you're being like a super conservative business owner where you're like always scared to like, go after the bag. You're always scared to chase the money. You're always scared to do, the hard thing. You're always scared to, it sounds like you're just scared. And so like, I wanted to like talk about this question. So it's a kind of a 3-parter ish. I'll just get into it right now. How much should you worry about this stuff? Should you just chase the bag and deal with the consequences later? Are you being too easy on yourself by holding back on your client acquisition? And this is going to be, I mean, this is again, probably not a question that is a one size fits all, because I mean, are you being too easy on yourself? I mean, it depends on you. Are you a person that works great under stress, does not work great under stress, needs to learn to work great under stress, maybe can't learn to work under stress, things like that? Are you being too easy on yourself? Maybe you're being too hard on yourself. We hear that a lot too. And so that's why I wanted to bring this question up now, because a lot of that section about multiple projects or agency burnout can be seen as you being way too easy on yourself. And it's like what you said, Mike, it's like, hey, like if you had just taken that one client 6 months ago, that would have dumped you after 3 months, 4 months. You got paid for 3 or 4 months and you're just trying to get as much out of everybody as possible. I mean, that's a bit of an entrepreneurial thing. But then if you're a person that's like always worried about mental health stuff, then it's kind of like, well, hey, like, should you be super hard on yourself? But then there's also the other idea where it's like, hey, like the human reward system in your brain, not that I fully understand it, really likes it usually when you overcome adversity within reason. So then it's like, well, like you should fight through the adversity maybe. This is a loaded question.
It's a super loaded question. And especially, again, back to the time that we're in right now, 2025, right? Like if you're listening to this years later, it might be completely different. 2025 right now, the landscape is this. The jobs are hard to get, not impossible, still definitely possible to get a job in tech, still out there, harder to get than it was 5 years ago, like three years ago, let's say. It's a much more competitive landscape. We have AI coming, right? Like we don't know where that's going to go. we are seeing rapid progress. We don't know how fast it's going to actually be. If it continues on the pace that it's continuing, there's a good chance that part of our jobs could be automated very shortly, right? Whether that actually has any impact on the job market, I don't know. But it is in the back of my mind at all times, where like it could have an impact on the job market, and I'm seeing it in real time right now. I don't know when, I don't know how. It depends on how it advances moving forward from this point on, right? So it's very much a skeptical claim, but it's something to worry about. It's something that concerns me. And because of those factors, I think the answer to this question changes a little bit, especially if someone's just starting out or trying to get the ball rolling. And I go back to the same thing. I think you're going to have to go a little bit after the bag and do the maybe not so good thing for your mental health. I think that, like, I'm saying it as like someone that really does value mental health and really does think that it's important. But on the other hand, I've done this many times where I've, in situations of uncertainty, I will just put my head down and just go and not look up until the uncertainty is gone.
Like go after the bag to like make sure that you're not going to like lose
Correct.
your house or
That's
whatever.
exactly it. So like that's where, in times of uncertainty, that's where my head goes. And this is very, again, like you said, it's not a one size fits all situation. But for me, I always try to double down when I am feeling like times are different, because I don't know what it's going to be like. Like
Right.
there could be a completely different job market moving forward. There could be a completely different development market. Like you might need to know AI deeper than everyone else. So you need to learn that a little bit more. So like there's just so much uncertainty right now in the job market and the development space that I can't in good conscience give the advice, sit back and say no and avoid situations that could potentially cause you stress. I think that is not a path to success at this moment in time. It could change. Again, it could go back to the developer-centric market where developers are, again, treated a little bit better than they are right now. And you could be in a situation where you could be a little bit more cognizant of your own mental health. But right now is probably not that time. I think a lot of people out there are saying it. I'm seeing it like personally that like it's a really tough time. So if you want to make it, you probably are going to have to sacrifice quite a bit.
Well, like the thing too is that like I mean everyone's work ethic or like work methods are different as well. Like somebody might say, "Oh, I work 8 hours a day, but this is a trying time." Some would say stressful, but maybe like, some people are just they don't get stressed out. So they may just go like, "Well, what I'll do then is I'll work on a personal project and I'll just like leave aside 2 hours a night and I'll just do that and it'll help with my skills. Maybe it's a SaaS that can make some money or whatever. Maybe it's a second job. Maybe they're learning investing so they can invest the money they get. Like, right, it doesn't have to be development. But the point is like there's some people will just manage it well where they just look at it and go like, "Okay, I don't want to be leadist where I work 24/7, but I realize I need to work more. Okay, what I'll do is I'm just going to schedule this and I'll do this every day, including weekends or whatever the situation is." Now I'm not really being easy on myself, right? I'm not like saying like, "Wow, just instead of 8 hours, I'll do 6." Instead of doing that, they'll be like, "Nope, okay, I'm working more, but it's toward these goals or whatever," right? Like some people are just able to navigate that better. They're always zen, as my one friend says. They're always just zen and they just don't care. They're just sort of like, "Man, everything's on fire. Better get a fire extinguisher," kind of thing. So again, like we're not mental health experts for sure, but we are seeing sort of the chaos that is the job market right now for developers, and it's kind of crazy. So I mean, this question I think is very timely. I would love to hear your thoughts, like if you're listening to this episode right now, because again, this is a massively loaded question. Every place is going to be different. It's going to be literally different per country because your country might be doing fantastic. And maybe you have like a bunch of like developer jobs in your government or something, whatever, right? Like there's going to be so many situations out there. Let us know on the socials, Instagram, on X if you want to talk to Mike, Instagram if you want to talk to me, things like that, or on Facebook. If it notifies me, which it rarely does for some reason. So hopefully I don't miss it. But yeah, no, like let us know. And I'm super, super sincerely curious. Like, what your thoughts are on this? Like, is this like, hey, it's time to be elitist? It's time to be like super hard on myself, or is it just like, hey, it's just time to like make a plan and execute something? Or maybe you think, you know what, F it, everything's screwed up, I'm just gonna chill. Maybe you think that. I mean, that's also valid. Like, fair enough. If everything's on fire, all right, I guess that's it then. Like, who knows, right? Who knows? Everyone has a different way to deal with this
and
stuff.
it depends on your situation too. Like if you're able to chill because you're living with your parents, chill. Like that's fine. Like if you're not able to chill, but you want to chill, but you're supporting a family, different situation. Like it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing though: is I have friends who will be like fully family support mode, and they're just like, well, if I end up in a tent, I end up in a tent.
Okay, like
because it's not like they're shutting down. It's like they're quitting their job. It's just that they're just like, you know what? Like, I'm doing my job. I'm trying my hardest. If it's not good enough, I guess it wasn't hard. It wasn't good enough, which is crazy to think, right? Like some people will like absolutely freak out, myself included. I would absolutely be freaking out. But these people are just sort of like, well, if it happens, it happens. It's like,
which is
okay. But
they're kind of right.
Kind of right.
They are kind of right. Like they're not fully wrong because it could not happen, right? Like it could, everything that we're talking about could be like, it could be not as bad. Like maybe again, it's blown out of proportion by social media. It's blown out of proportion by news, et cetera, et cetera. Totally viable. So like, if you're not right, you're not right. I just think there's a lot of smoke right now, right? Like there's a lot of smoke out there. And like, again, that saying where there's smoke, there's fire. It's becoming more and more likely that a fire will engage in one of these places, either AI or layoffs or economy, whatever. And part of that situation, if you want to mitigate that, is putting in a little bit of extra work right now to make it so that if something blows up, you have something else to fall back on. Your skills are in a good place. Your social contacts are in a good place. Like Matt said, it doesn't have to be dev related. Like you could just be talking to other developers. You could be talking to other people.
Correct.
Like, that could be part of this strategy. Like
your investment strategy might dictate, you might be like, you know what, I'm going to go and like invest super aggressively or super conservatively or whatever. And it's like based upon your persona or your navigating of the economy or whatever. I'm not an investment expert, we clear, but like people will do that, right? Where some people are like, I'm not going to take any risk. And other people would be like, I'm taking all the risk. I don't care. It's already risky. I'm just doing it, right? It's different personas, different ideas, and different plans. I think that's it. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Mike, but I think that concludes the whole episode.
Yeah, I think it does too. I think this was a good conversation. I think it's important to talk about this kind of stuff right now. And yeah, let us know what you think on the socials.
100%. And remember that we are powered by CodeRabbit, trusted by over 6,000 customers. You can go check out their website, coderabbit.ai. You can get yourself a free trial. No credit card needed. 2-click sign up with GitHub or GitLab. Go check it out. 14-day free trial right now. Again, go check it out, coderabbit.ai. And remember that we are also on Patreon. That's patreon.com/HTML, all the things. If you want to support us that way, and many thanks to our $3 tier patrons, Tim from The Web Hacker on thewebhacker.com, Jason from Geek Life Radio via geekliferadio.com, Garrett Segal, Level Up Financial Planning via www.levelupfinancialplanning.com, Magnus from YesWeb via yesweb.se, Syntaxify from the HTML All the Things Discord server, and Stacy Mosler from the website swoonworthydesigns.com. And last but not least, we'll give a shout out to Michael Araka, contributing author on HTMLallthethings.com. Michael is the author of Self-Taught the X Generation blog at selftaughttxg.com. And as of recording this, because it might change by the time you listen to it, as of recording this, his latest article is about standing out in the job market. So, I mean, we just talked about how tumultuous the job market is. Please go and check out that article if you want to stand out, maybe get your resume noticed, get your interview noticed, get noticed as just a candidate. Go and check that out, of course. And then there's also a related podcast episode that'll be listed in there if you want to check that out as well. Feel free to leave a comment or a review on the platform that you are listening to this on. And this outro will sign us off.
You've been listening to HTML All the Things Podcast. web development, web design, and small business. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show, and we hope you appreciate that we talk to you like human beings, and we hope you had some fun. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hit us up on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon at HTML All the Things, and on Twitter at HTML Everything. Until next time, this is HTML All the Things, signing off.